make ends meet. And they are doing it at one of Chicago's most notable shelters, the Pacific Garden Mission. Downstate Republican Congressman Darren LaHood will be joining Chicago Congressman Danny Davis a little later on this morning. Congressman LaHood joins us now. And Congressman, thank you for stopping by. This is a way to get out of Washington and really find solutions for the people that your decisions impact. What real solutions is Congress looking at right now to help people fight poverty and really be able to make ends meet?
Well, Natalie, thanks for having me on. We're thrilled to be here in Chicago today. Congressman Danny Davis, a Democrat, and myself as a Republican, with our Work and Welfare Subcommittee from Ways and Means. We're going to have 10 members of Congress here this morning to talk about how do we transition people off welfare into work. You know, we have 7 million unfilled jobs in the country right now, and the best social program in the country is a job, a job. And so this morning we're having a subcommittee hearing at the Pacific Garden Mission on the south side, on the South Loop. It'll be the first time a congressional hearing will be held at a homeless shelter. And what we're focused on is how do we transition people? So that means working on a workforce development, apprenticeship programs, training programs. How do we transition people off of welfare so we save the taxpayer money and put them in good paying jobs? Those 7 million unfilled jobs, machinists, carpenters, welders, nurses, all of those things. And so it's great to get out of D.C. to come to a place like Chicago to focus on this. So we're going to be meeting with business people, government people at our subcommittee hearing this morning and working on solutions to take those back to D.C. and try to implement those public policy solutions to fix our welfare programs. And I'm glad you mentioned kind of what jobs are in demand, because there are people watching who are probably looking for a new job and like, oh, that makes sense. Maybe I'll look in that direction. You know, you're obviously getting out of Washington and doing this here for a reason, because you want to hear what people out there have to say. What do you think people who are at the meeting are going to bring to the table? What kind of things do you think you're going to hear today? Well, it's interesting. Yesterday we did a site visit with Pastor Corey Brooks down at his facility down there, Project Hope. And we learned specifically from Project Hood. We learned specifically from him on what they're doing there. But we want to hear from folks out in the real world on, again, how do we make this transition from welfare to work? There's lots of good programs that are out there. We're going to hear from 6 different witnesses today that are working here in Chicago on making that transition. It's what I call new-collar jobs. They're not blue-collar, they're not white-collar, they're new-collar jobs where you need some skills, you need some training, you need an apprenticeship program to do that. And so we look forward to hearing today and then taking those back, putting those into legislation. And again, this is a win-win for individuals that get a job, but secondarily helping the taxpayer by getting people off welfare. So I want to transition to a different topic that has been a very hot one lately. Another bipartisan piece of legislation is the potential TikTok ban. Senator Chuck Schumer is saying the Senate will take up the legislation that the House and your friends already passed. What are you hearing about that moving forward and potentially getting the president's signature? Well, I voted to support the bill to give TikTok the option to divest. I serve on the House Intelligence Committee. I also serve on our Select Committee on China. Make no mistake about it. TikTok is digital fentanyl for kids. We have about 190 million Americans that are on TikTok. It's scary, Natalie. 45% of Americans get their news from TikTok now, and the Communist Chinese Party is a part owner of TikTok. That's the reality. That's the facts. And so our legislation would allow TikTok to divest to an American company or another company. We can't allow the CCP, the Communist Chinese Party, to own TikTok. It would be like Russia owning Facebook or North Korea owning Instagram or X being owned by Iran. These are our adversaries that are working against the United States. So my hope is, look at the bipartisan support we had in the House. Hopefully Chuck Schumer will take that up. We need to send a message in the strongest possible terms to China. We cannot allow this to happen. Okay, last question for you here. There is talk of chaos in the U.S. House as more Republican lawmakers announce they're not going to run for another term. They say there's discord over decisions made by House Speaker Mike Johnson. What do you say to Americans who are saying to Congress, look, just get the work done, you know, forget the disagreements? Well, I think Mike Johnson's doing an excellent job, but he's got a very tough governing margin. We just have a 2-seat majority, soon to be a 1-seat majority, and so we're divided government right now. But he is doing the job that he should do. As Republicans, we have a responsibility and obligation to hold the Biden administration accountable, but also to move forward with our principles. I think he's doing a good job in a very tough situation. He just became Speaker less than 6 months ago. We need to give him an opportunity to govern, and I think he'll show that he can do that. All right, Congressman LaHood, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you. Brian?
Well, the man charged in the death of a DeKalb County deputy is out of jail this morning. His release came under conditions of the Safety Act.